Off the Beaten Path is brought to you by Warner Sales and Service, your local Bobcat and Hustler dealer. Mastrovito Hyundai, a trusted name in auto sales. And All Seasons Outfitters. Get your sports season started off right.
Okay, November 11th, packed up, was home for 3 days in New York, did some sitting, really didn't see much action. In the truck on my way to Kansas, meeting up with the guys from Tack Driver TV, Nick Albanese and his crew. Yeah, we're going to Larned, Kansas, so stay tuned. We're on the road and trying to make this an epic archery season, so wish me luck. Morning sit in Kansas. We got here about a day and a half ago. Did a bunch of glassing, drove around. I got some cool footage of some really big bucks running does out here right now, so things are starting to pop off. Well, they're straight up seeking and chasing like mad around here. We saw 2 giant bucks on the way in today, in the dark driving here, so stay tuned. Anything can happen. We're in Kansas.
Off the Beaten Path is brought to you by Athens Archery, the ultimate hunting bow, period. The Gunworks of Central New York, your full-service gunsmith. Zeus Broadheads, Smart Head Technology, and AccuFire, advancing accuracy. Follow our social media pages to stay up to date on all our adventures.
I just rattled in an absolute monster. Well, it happened so fast. I saw this big buck cutting the woods at like 150 yards. Rattled, grunted, snort wheezed. He looked like he wanted to commit, so I rattled at him some more. And he committed. He come about broadside. I think I misjudged the yardage a little bit. I figured him for about think he was more like 35, 36. So I did go a little low, but I'm right behind the heart. I'm almost 100% sure I got liver. You can see on film, he went to the edge of the property, stepped over a fence, and he bed right down. So we're gonna give him some time, but that's a giant 10-pointer. Kansas, man. Freaking Kansas. Oh my God, I can't believe this. I've literally been in the stand. It's 9 right now. Sun up was 7:30. I've been here for an hour and a half, and I get a crack at a monster 10-pointer. Wow. Stay tuned. We're gonna watch him, see what happens. Get the glasses on him a little bit. I think he's about 120 yards away, but I could see the tip of his rack, and he went over a little knob and laid down, but I can still see the top of his rack. So stay tuned.
Unfortunately, the search for Frank's buck came up empty-handed on the property that they had access to. But while he was out there, he was able to capture some great bucks meandering around before he headed home. So here's a little eye candy for you if you're ever thinking about headed to Kansas to hunt. But don't worry, there's a happy ending to this story.
Got a package in the mail today. Went out to Kansas. First day in the stand. I was there an hour and a half, 2 hours in blind. Elevated blind. I rattled this buck in from, 152 yards away. Came in, broadside shot, stopped right on key. I misjudged the yardage a little bit. I shot a little low. Plus he ducked a little bit. And I full pass through. I think I got a little lung, but I definitely got liver 100%. And I'm sure the footage will show that. So he runs on the neighbor's property, beds up. I have that on film too. He laid there for probably about 25 minutes, maybe a half hour. And then another buck chasing a doe came by and bumped him. He took off in the neighbor's property. So I let it lay for a few days. We contacted the landowner. It took him a couple days to get back to me. So now we're looking at 4 days in. And the landowner contacted me back, and he said that he'd really appreciate it if I did not go in there. This guy's from out of town. He owns the property. He was watching, 180 class buck and bigger. And I don't blame him, because we were driving around looking for my deer, and we saw one of his target deer. I got great video footage of it on here. He assured me that he would not keep my rack. He respected the fact that I didn't go trample through his property, and he said he'd find a buck for me. He goes, if it's on my property, I'll find it. And we're looking at topos and everything, and he owns like a square mile, and probably 2/3 of it's timber. And in that probably 3-mile area, he's the only timber. And the only water. So we figured that deer laid on the property and stayed there. Because the way he was headed, he had like a 3/4 of a mile run to get off the property, but he stayed in his thicket. I know he did. So anyway, the landowner got there 2 days after I left to come home. He contacted me on Saturday and said, Frank, I walked 2/3 of your property, He walked 2/3 of his property, and he was not going to go into the bedding area.
He goes, I know this is, gonna hurt your feelings, but I'm not going in there. I'll go in there after hunt season. I'm like, okay, I respect it. It's his land. Well, that night he called me and he went and hunted his bedding area. He walked out of his stand and tripped over the deer, basically. So I dropped a pin on where I thought the deer was, because for the last 2 days I'd watched crows from a distance landing in trees in this one part of his property. Sure enough, where I dropped a pin on where the crows were, this buck was probably 60 yards from it. So I mailed him my tag. We contacted Fish and Game. They said if that's the way we want to do it. They were fine with it. And he sent it back to me. So here it is. I rough scored him right around 135 inches, so it's my biggest buck to date. And definitely with the biggest buck in general. I've never shot a bigger deer.
Off the Beaten Path is brought to you by Buck Fever Synthetic Scents. Make bucks hunt you. The New York State Big Buck Club, recognizing the New York hunter and their trophies. Keystone Game Calls, the originator of the wedge. Live Free Armory, accurate and efficient firearms. Badlands Gear, unconditional hunting gear. Now we join up with Frank on his New Jersey lease. In New Jersey, it is legal for baiting, and you have to earn a buck by harvesting a doe first. But this area is overrun with black bears, as you'll see.
Shouldered her. She went down about 20 yards away. Yeah. Whew. Well, here we are, September 10th. Jersey. I just opened up my buck tag. I shot a beautiful, beautiful doe. Put a great shot on her center front shoulder with the new hair up by Zeus. She went 25 yards tops, collapsed. Got my new Athens bow, my Vista 33, 67, almost 68 pounds. It's arguably the smoothest shooting bow I've ever had in my hand in my life. Yeah, hopefully Jason gets one in front of him tonight, but we're looking good right now. We got a day, we got rain coming in tomorrow, so hopefully tomorrow morning I can get on a buck, but we're in good shape right now. Off the beaten path. We're in New Jersey.
The Big Buck Profile is brought to you by the New York State Big Buck Club.
We're here at the New York State Big Buck Club banquet again. We're here with Larry. Larry, tell us a little bit about this giant from New York. Gross inches, weapon of harvest, and tell us a little bit about the deer.
Well, Frank, we got pictures of him starting in 2020, and that year he was a 10-point with a kicker off his G2, so an 11-point, and my one son nicknamed him Kickstand, so we were after him then for the next 2 years. And actually in 2021 he went missing for an entire month, probably during the rut. And then on opening day, when you get all kind of a pressure at 6:50 a.m., which wouldn't even have been legal the year before, they changed the law to a half hour before. He must have got bumped or pushed to me, and he was right in the area where we had gotten a lot of videos and pictures of him. and I shot him with a 25-06 at 143 yards. And this is actually the first year I've been able to come to the banquet. He's my fourth buck that's in the record book.
Oh.
And I got one in 2018 that scored 161 with the muzzle loader, a typical 10, which had great mass.
That's a great
and
buck
that's
with
why he
muzzle
scored
loader.
that so high. But I'm just glad to be here. I retired in
Yeah.
January from my job, so I can be at the banquet this year.
Great. So what was he for gross inches?
He was 145 and a 10 point. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Well, Larry, thank you very much for
Thank
stopping
you,
by,
Frank.
sharing your stories. Beautiful, beautiful buck.
Thank you very much, Frank.
Off the Beaten Path is proud to partner with these outfitters: Eastern Canadian Outfitters in Ontario and Quebec, Conklin's Lodge, Patten, Maine, Governor's Table Camp, New Brunswick, and Rhino Outdoor Adventures in the great state of Texas.
October 9th. Crazy winds going on. So behind my house, in the woods, like 100 feet behind the house, 150 feet behind the house, I have this small little food lot. I cleared all my tractor, cut out all these trees, I planted apple trees in it, and I overseeded all the ground that I disturbed with old food plot seed. Well, it took off. Every year I sprinkle a little bit on it, more and more and more, and I've been mowing it. It came in real thick, and the deer are crushing it right now. And the wind isn't good for any place I have right now, except for my house. So I have like 10, 12 doe coming in here at night and one little buck. But early October is perfect time for me to knock down a big doe if I can. So stay tuned. God, I love hunting big does, man. That's a big doe. So I got this little food plot behind my house. It's not more than I don't know, it's probably 20 yards wide, 60 yards long. But where I live, within 2 miles of me, there's no ag at all. I throw old food plots in here everybody gives me every year, and it just keeps on regerminating. And I got all kinds of rye grass in here, and clover and alfalfa. God knows what else is growing out there. But we had a big frost this morning, and the deer just, when I left for work this morning, my camera was going off. There was deer all over it. So I know it's a full moon, but that's awesome. All right, let's go find her. Big doe.
Put the Athens to work. This hair broadhead, this is the second deer I shot with the same broadhead. They're so durable, it's unbelievable. But can't say enough about this new Athens bow we're shooting. It is unbelievable. It's so smooth. But big freezer queen. Really happy. Had to break the ice here in New York. So off the beaten path, baby.